Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to an economic weather report brought to you in association with Bank of New Zealand. Today we look at figures on New Zealand's merchandise trade surplus, and it was a record high $1.1 billion in April. That compares with $578 million in March, so almost double the previous month. And also, it was more than double what economists had forecast. There is broad strength in export revenues for many of the commodities. Now, this triggered a surge in the New Zealand dollar to a new post-float high, although it was only just above the level we saw in March 2008 of 82.15 US cents. So just right above there, and it's dipped back a bit in early afternoon trade. However, on a trade-weighted index basis, so that it takes into account the New Zealand dollar versus the other currencies besides the US dollar, we're actually quite a bit below the 2007 peak of 76.88. We're actually only at 70.48. The big change really in the currency landscape for New Zealand in the last couple of weeks has been the strength in the New Zealand dollar versus the Australian dollar, up to 76 Australian cents from 73 cents just after the earthquake and the official cash rate cut on March the 10th. Now, this all means that New Zealand's monetary policy is actually tighter now than it was just before the earthquake. So, what does all this mean for the New Zealand economy? Are we about to have a boom in our economy because of all this export revenue? Well, the key really is what happens with interest rates over the next year or so, and also whether this windfall of money actually gets spent, because farmers are not necessarily spending all the extra payout they're getting. When you look at how much debt is being retired, quite a bit of it is being used to repay foreign debt, and that means it's not circulating into the New Zealand economy. Also, the question is, how much will the stronger currency control some of the inflationary pressures that we see because of this extra money from the export boom? The New Zealand official cash rate is currently expected not to be increased until later this year, but markets are now saying they see about 60 basis points of hiking in the next 12 months versus about 50 basis points a week or so ago. So we're starting to see some of these inflationary pressures coming through, at least according to what the markets are thinking. So there we have it. A record trade surplus for New Zealand has pushed the New Zealand dollar up to a post-float high, the highest since 1985, at least briefly and in a tiny way. I'm Bernard Hickey. That was a special economic weather report brought to you in association with Bank of New Zealand.